Marking and cutting fabric for Jangia. Marking and cutting out the precise fabric pieces are of vital importance before you actually start sewing. At the end of the session, you will be able to measure and mark the fabric for a Jangia, cut the fabric for a Jangia. Let's first familiarize with the tools and materials required for measuring, marking and cutting the fabric. They are measuring tape, tailor's chalk, shears, 22 inches or 55 centimeters of fabric, fabric to cut the cross piece for binding, 1/4 inch elastic and pattern square. Let's examine the fabric first and see if we need to consider certain aspects before we can start folding the fabric for drafting. As you can see here, our fabric has a design which does not have a direction. Normally, for a plain fabric or a fabric with design which does not give any direction, we can go ahead and fold the fabric to draft the pattern. First, spread the fabric on the table with its right side facing up. You could see a few scattered dots here. This edge is called the selvage edge of the fabric. From the selvage edge, first measure 6.5 inches and mark it using tailor's chalk. Fold the fabric lengthwise with reference to the marking made. Ensure that the selvage edge is parallel to the fold by checking if the measurement is 6.5 inches throughout the folding. Drafting should be done on the wrong side of the fabric. Before we continue, let us check if the double folded cut edge is in a right angle, and if not, we can correct it with the help of a pattern square. Then measure and mark 9.5 inches from the cut edge and fold the fabric widthwise. The fold will be to your right and the cut edge will be to your left. Ensure that the inner layer is held tight in the folds. You can do this with the help of a pattern square. Now, we can start drafting the pattern of Jangia on the fabric. As per the drafting instruction, first let's mark 01, which is 6.5 inches. This will be the cut edge at a right angle to the center fold. Now, let's mark 02, which is 9.5 inches. This is the center fold. Here, the length of 13 will be equal to length 02. Similarly, the length of the fold 23 will be equal to length 01. Next, let's mark 04, which is 1 inch. Then, mark 15 as 1 inch. This is for the casing of the Jangia. Now join the points 4, 5 such that it is parallel to the line 01. This line will be the waist line. Mark half inch from point 5 to get point 6. Now mark the midpoint of 5 3. This is point 7. Mark quarter inch down from point 7 to get point 8. Also mark quarter inch down from point 8 to get point 12. Draw a soft shape by joining 8 6 to get the side seam. Shape points 6 and 1. From point 2, measure along the fold 1/12 of hip circumference, which is 1 3/4 inches, and make a mark to get point 9. This line will be the crutch. Join points 9 and 8. And mark its midpoint, which is point 10. From point 10, measure half inch at a right angle to get point 11. Now shape points 9, 11 and 12. We've completed drafting the pattern of Jangia on fabric. Now we will cut the fabric for the Jangia. Cut along the drafted lines. First, cut along the straight line connecting points 9, 10 and 8, which is the back leg opening. Then cut along the side seam 8, 6, 1. Then cut along the straight line 0, 1. Unfold at the crutch and cut along the curved line 9, 11, 8 as shown here. This is the front leg opening. We have finished cutting the fabric for Jangia. Now, let's see how to cut a cross-binding strip to finish the leg opening. For that, measure the leg opening front and back together. Here our leg opening is 13¼ inches. Take the straight cut edge of the fabric you have chosen to make the cross piece. Fold one corner inside so that the selvage edge forms a right angle. Measure along the fold and see if it matches with the measurement you need, which is 13¼ inches. If you find the measurement of the fold is less than what is required, then pull the corner further inside so that the fold becomes longer. When you get 13¼ inches on the fold, press the fold flat. Measure 1 inch along the fold at a few places and connect in a line using a ruler. cut the strip along the marked line. Then, cut along the fold to get 2 strips of cross pieces. Our cross pieces for binding is ready. Now let's see how to cut the elastic for Jangia. For that, take a 1/4 inch wide elastic band and measure 3/4 of hip circumference, which is 16.5 inches, and cut. We have finished cutting all the fabric pieces required to make a Jangia. In this session, we have learned how to mark and cut the fabric to make a Jangia. Before we conclude, let's take a look at the key steps involved in marking and cutting fabric for a Jangia. Step 1. Fold the fabric as per the measurements. Step 2. Draft the pattern of Jangia on the fabric with the required measurements. Step 3. Cut the fabric for the cross binding strip to finish the leg opening. Step 4. Cut out the elastic in the required measurement. With that, we have come to the end of this session.